YouMind is a website that allows you to have access to a board which you can use for AI-powered research, generation of content, or even skills. If this is your first time here, my name is Jay, and this is the Everyday AI channel where we teach you how you can use AI in your daily lives. So I'm going to dive right into this here. I'm going to look into this board I had a while back, which was on the impact of AI on jobs since the release of ChatGPT, which was quite interesting. So I basically said I want to learn about how AI has actually affected people's jobs since it released on 30th of November 2022, do some research, and it actually created this job board for me. Sorry, not a job board, but a board about the impact AI has had on jobs in general. So this has been quite interesting, and it's given me a few different sources. So we can see here we've got 15 sources. I can click on them and actually open each article, which is quite useful. I can actually type in any sort of task or skills that I want. And now what I'm going to say is let's say take into account the difference in let's say the effect between the release of GPT-3 on the 11th of June 2020 and how let's say the difference in effect and how, and basically describe how substantial that's been comparatively. Now, yeah, I guess this is a great time for me to be honest and say I'm not always the most eloquent and articulate, even though I'm described as being so the vast majority of the time. Thankfully, I've got Apple Intelligence here, and I'm just going to say make this clearer. And what this is going to do is it's actually just going to reorganize what I've written. Absolutely love the fact that this is actually built into my MacBook. Just so you know, I've got a MacBook Pro 2020, so I think anyone from any sort of model you've got from then should be able to have access to Apple Intelligence. You may have to update it though. So now it's saying, now take into account the comparative impact of GPT's release on 11th of June 2020, explain how substantially larger and more disruptive its long-term effects have been relative to not previous AI breakthroughs, but I want to say relative to the release of GPT 3.5. So now I actually want to compare the previous version of GPT to what is now commonly known as ChatGPT, which was released on the 30th of November 2022, running on GPT 3.5. So this is going to be quite interesting. I can take a look on the materials here on the left, and this kind of view. If we want, we can also publish anything we see here onto the web. I think this is a feature you need to upgrade in order to get though. But ultimately, we've got another output here: the dramatic difference between GPT-3 and 3.5. So when GPT-3 launched via API in June 2020, it was breakthrough in capability, but remained confined to technical users. Now, I heard from someone within my network that with GPT-3 or similar language models at the time, each as the conversation got longer, it basically took a lot more time in order to get an output, because the model was basically reading the entire conversation each time. And of course, that's not scalable. Like, consumers wouldn't have the patience for that. So that was, I think, one of the breakthroughs that's also happened. So we have GP3 being launched via API. So it was API only. Over 300 developer tools incorporated it by 2021. It primarily affected businesses with technical teams. Okay, interesting stuff. And then we had what we know as ChatGPT, the mainstream earthquake. And then, of course, the fundamental difference was democratization versus limitation. So the downstream effects demonstrate this. So the gap wasn't about the user numbers, it's about who could access the technology.
I'm actually pleased to announce I've launched one of my first digital products, which is a 7-day prompting ebook. I've called it Perfecting Prompts, and it's essentially a 7-day crash course on how you can improve your prompting so that you can supercharge your productivity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the link to Perfecting Prompts below. I put in a lot of work into it, and in there I actually include some frameworks that I teach to global corporations. Definitely check it out.
Very true. The conclusion states that GPT-3 was revolutionary for developers, and GPT 3.5 was revolutionary for everyone. That's a wonderful way to put it. And with that, I'll conclude this video. Definitely check out YouMind if you think it would be useful for you.